Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, MBC Lifestyles Diary. My name is Marie. I live in New York and I love fashion, travel, and cultural events. And I'm asking you to join me on the adventure. It seems like a very long absence, but I'm glad to be back, sitting here and speaking to you because it's been quite a journey. I think if you've been watching my channel, I told you when I had the surgery and that I didn't really want to talk about it because that's not what YouTube is for. It's to be uplifting and entertaining. But I feel it's important to share this part of the journey with you. So I kept doing YouTube for as long as I could, but the treatment that I was undergoing, suddenly made it that I couldn't. And that treatment was chemotherapy. But thank goodness I made it through, and thank goodness it was caught very early, and hopefully I get to continue sharing life and ideas with you. So this is a let me explain video. So yes, I just couldn't do any more YouTube. I just had to concentrate on what was going on with me and work through that, which I did. But life goes on. So at the same time, my cousin Emmanuel was going through his own crisis, and that was that he lost his wife. She passed away. And with that happening, we were calling each other to console each other. It came up that the best thing to handle this would be to travel. And I had been going on a cruise, had to cancel the cruise. So I postponed the cruise. I asked my doctors, when could I go on vacation? Can I go on vacation at the end of August, beginning of September? And they said yes. And it's wonderful to have something to look forward to. So I started to plan my travel adventure. And when Manny called me grieving, I said, you know what would be good for you if you joined me on this cruise? So Manny and I are cousins. Our mothers were sisters. And I show a little clip of us as babies because when my dad and Manny's dad went to New York and the wives stayed behind, my mother and aunt lived together, and therefore Manny and I lived together. And that explains our closeness and our bond. But the thing with Manny is he used to joke that when he retires, he's going to take me on a trip. And I would always tease him that he's a workaholic and he's never going to retire. So I would always, that would be the running joke between us. When am I going to go on this trip, Manny? When are you going to retire? Hurry up and retire. I need to go on the trip. So when I invited him on the cruise, that made Manny to take the initiative to say, okay, cuz, remember I told you when I retired, I'm going to take you on a trip? And this was the trip he chose to take me on. And I'm very grateful to him for that. It was a wonderful experience. And of course, I documented it for you all. And we just called it a trip to go and explore and everything. But by the end, I realized it was a healing trip that we both needed. And as we were discussing this trip in front of his daughter, Isley, and she was helping plan it, she was like, wait a minute, I don't want to miss out on this. So she joined us for part of the trip because we were gone for 35 days. And she's still working and didn't have that time. And then they invited another couple that they were very close to and who was closer to Isley's age to join us. So a trip that started out with just for me and my husband turned into a wonderful trip with the 6 of us traveling. Please watch and follow.
We're en route to Newark International Airport to board our flight to Barcelona. I'm smiling, but I'm a little worried because I'm feeling really weak and tired. And I was concerned about doing this big trip. But I remember the words of my daughter who said, once you get on that flight and see your seat, you'll be good. And she was absolutely right. And I used the things to help me facilitate, like the wheelchair service at the airport. Here we are in the lounge for United Airlines. I think it's called Polaris. I was very grateful to have that lounge. The service was wonderful. The selection of food was great. And seating was very comfortable. We were meeting Emmanuel and Isley in the lounge, and also Farah and Donald at the airport for us all to travel together. The itinerary, I don't know if I mentioned already, but the itinerary was that we would fly to Barcelona and spend 4 days at the Corner Hotel. And then from there, we would board our cruise. And the cruise would take us to Mallorca, Florence, Rome, and Napoli. Then it would circle back around and bring us to Barcelona. Once landed in Barcelona, we would spend 2 days there, and then the young people would go back to their homes, and Alex, Emmanuel, and myself would continue on to Sicily. So we had a flight on Vueling Airlines to Palermo. And from Palermo, we would then go to Cefalù, which was a beach town. Then from Cefalù, we would go to Messina. And Messina is a port town, and it's actually where people from the mainland cross over onto Sicily via ferry. And then from Messina, we would go to Taormina. And Taormina is the secret of Sicily, and everybody claims that it's more affordable and more beautiful than the Amalfi Coast, which gets overcrowded and super expensive. And we would be looking at Mount Etna. And then we would drive from Taormina to Catania and see the other side of Mount Etna. And then fly back to Barcelona, where we would the next day then catch our flight back to New York. So if you've watched my previous vlogs, you know that we come to Barcelona often, and the Corner Hotel is a great hotel. I feel like the service is always spot on. I like their breakfast, I like their rooms, and it's centrally located to everything that we want to see. So we're within walking distance of Casa Batlló and the other Gaudi houses, and we can go to the Spanish National Museum, lots of interesting restaurants. So Alex and I were pretty familiar with it. The thrill was going with new people who had never been and watching their excitement. And seeing their excitement and the thrill in their eyes, like, really made you see your favorite spot with new eyes and remember the first time that you came to visit this town. So, and it was nice. It was nice to have other people to share impressions and share excitement and sort of being an unofficial tour guide. We had taken the hop-on, hop-off bus, which dropped us off at this site. And the hop-on, hop-off is very helpful in that it gives you an overview of the city and it helps you get your bearings. There's 2 routes. There's the red route and the blue route that covers different zones of Barcelona. I did the red route and I was done, so I went back to my hotel room. But everybody else got to continue on the journey and enjoy the sights. So we're looking at the Gaudi house, we're looking at the city park. We got to see the Gaudi church, La Sagrada, the Basilica of the Sacred Family. I don't know why I try to pretend I speak Catalan. You got to see the beach, the egg-shaped building, so many things that you would not have covered on foot. And then what this helps you do is to pinpoint the places that you would like to revisit. But for them who've never been to Barcelona, this was thrilling to just be able to see everything.
You go. Let's wait. I need it on record. I'm doing this on my own accord. I'm voluntarily eating closed snail with my
He's always doing it because he loves it.
No, this is fresh.
Fresh? Oh.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
Oh, it's good. All right.
It's good. Well, all right. Very good.
We're all seafood lovers, so we researched restaurants and found really good seafood places. And what you saw before was Farah and her husband Donald discussing a new food they've never had before, and they were called sea snails. I've never seen them before, so I take my hat off to them for being brave enough to try it, and it turned out to be pretty delicious. So here I am with Manuel and Isley, and we're at the Gothic district. So that's a lively place to be. Everywhere in Barcelona is lively.
Where are Manny and Isley?
The Gothic district is very touristy and very popular, and this is where they tell you to always watch out for pickpockets. So everybody was well informed as to the best way to protect their wallets and what to look out for. So that last part where I was like saying, where are Manuel and Isley? And then you see them talking to a person dressed as a clown. That was one of the warnings. Stay away from the clowns. So it was pretty funny that they were talking to them, because that's another way for them to get money from tourists. Everyone complains about, too many tourists, it's touristy. But there's a reason it's touristy. There's so many interesting things to see. There's history there to be learned. So we're all going to go and gravitate towards that. And the Gothic district has also a lively nightlife. There's plenty of restaurants. Yes, there's places you could get better food, but where else are you going to get all this people watching activity and free entertainment? When I first came to Barcelona, I went to the Gothic district, and as I became a more seasoned traveler, of course, less so. But it was fun to go back with them and to see the things that I fell in love with when I first got there. The next day, I suggested a trip to Tibidabo, the amusement park located on Tibidabo Mountain. This park was built in 1899 by the businessman Salvador Andreu and opened in 1905. The park is among the oldest in the world still functioning. Also on this site, right next to it, is the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is called Temple of the Sacred Heart, designed by Enrique Sagnier, started in 1902 and finished in 1961. It is a neo-Gothic style monument crowned by a bronze statue of the Sacred Heart. It was originally built as an hermitage by the Salesians and opened in 1886 during St. St. Juan Bosco's visit to Barcelona. The reason I suggested this trip is because it takes you out of the city of Barcelona and you go up to one of the highest points and you have two things to see for free. And it also gives you a wonderful view of Barcelona. It's one of the highest points on the mountain range. And I remembered the first time we came, our cab driver was kind of pulling our leg as we went up the mountain and we looked across at the Mediterranean. He said, and on a clear day, you can see Africa. And we believed him. Beautiful story that we retold our guests. The one thing I would caution about visiting here is to be very aware of how you're going to get back. So any cab in Barcelona will take you here. But once they drop you off, cell phone service is very difficult, and there's not a clear line of where the cabs to go back are. So we kind of got stuck and had an adventure because we saw a bus and we hopped on the bus and it dropped us off in the middle of the mountain because it was a neighborhood bus. We presumed or made an assumption that it would take us back down to the main road where we could catch a cab. It was a fun adventure, but back to why I like this spot. So the church is incredibly beautiful, and then you can pay $5 and take the elevator up to the very top. So now you're really on top of the city, you're on top of this mountain, and now you're on top of this basilica, and it's breathtaking. And then right next to it is, of course, the second oldest amusement park in Europe. And you don't have to pay if you're not going to participate in the rides. So you get to walk around and you get to see some of the antique type of rides that they would put in amusement parks. And also a footnote, it was the amusement park that was featured in Vicky Cristina Barcelona, for those of you that remember. But it's just that it was beautiful, it was breathtaking. There's also a restaurant near here. Serves very simple fare, I think like a hamburger or a hot dog with french fries. But by the time we got up there when we're ready for lunch, it served its purpose and it was very affordable. We spent a lot of time just taking in the view and taking pictures. The church itself is beautiful, and there are two different churches. So there's the church on the ground floor, and then there's another church on the second floor, and their styles differ. But it's a wonderful experience, and everyone enjoyed it. As to how we got off the mountain, is then one of the bus drivers explained to us that there's the funicular, and he told us where to get off to go to the funicular. But when we got there, we didn't understand how the train stations worked. So we just started kind of walking down the mountain and looking for a main road. And then we saw the main road where the cabs were bringing people up and driving people down. And we managed to hail a cab and get safely home and have ice cream. So that evening, we decided that dinner was going to be on the beach because that is also very accessible here in Barcelona. And the restaurant was literally on the beach. And this brought such joy to Isley, and that's when I realized she was truly a beach person. And the interesting thing about Barcelona, obviously, is they don't kick you off the beach at nightfall. So as we were going to dinner, there were still people enjoying the water. And this was another success. And everybody got addicted to the olives in Barcelona because they were truly delicious.
Y así pasan los días y yo desesperado y tú contestando quizás risa. Vamos, ahora empezamos. Te quiero, te necesito, te quiero tanto.
The dish you're looking at is a seafood dish made with squid ink. So you get the black rice. Ah, so delicious. And here's the crema catalan, which is a flan, which was also delicious. So the evening was a success. The seafood was wonderful. We enjoyed our meal. And we headed back home and looked at the thrilling nightlife of Barcelona. So remember, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, like, and share.